You ever look at some ancient structure, something so massive and old that you just can't wrap your head around how it was built? I mean, some of these things look less like buildings and more like they were carved out of mountains. Well, this isn't a mountain. It's a monument to pure human ingenuity, a 4,000-year-old marvel of engineering. So how on earth did they build it? And maybe even more importantly, how has it survived for all this time? Let's dig in.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're in ancient Mesopotamia, what's now modern-day Iraq, often called the cradle of civilization. And right here, over 4 millennia ago, the Sumerians built this, the Great Ziggurat of Ur. It's this incredible stepped pyramid that just rises out of the desert, and it has seen it all. Empires have risen and fallen, wars have been fought, and time has just kept on marching. But the most amazing part? It's the secret to its survival.
So that really is the big question, isn't it? How did they pull this off? How did a civilization, with Bronze Age technology, build something on this insane scale that would last for 40 centuries? Well, the answer is so simple. It's absolutely brilliant.
To solve this mystery, we first have to understand the enormous challenge the builders were staring down. And it wasn't just about having enough people to do the work, it was about what they had to work with.
I mean, think about the Great Pyramids in Egypt, right? They're made of these massive, massive blocks of stone. But here, in Mesopotamia, there was no stone. Not really. The builders had to use what was around them. And that was the clay and mud from the river valley, the reeds that grew on the riverbanks, and this natural sticky asphalt called bitumen. It just seems impossible, doesn't it? How do you build a monument for the ages out of mud?
So the Sumerians couldn't just haul in giant stone blocks. That meant they had to get much, much smarter. They had to innovate.
And just to get our bearings in time, the ziggurat was built around 2100 BC, smack in the middle of the Bronze Age. Now, this was a time of incredible technological leaps. People were figuring out metal, they were building the very first cities, and developing these really complex societies. So the ziggurat, it's a perfect product of that innovative spirit.
Okay, so what did they do? They took that mud and they turned it into millions and millions of bricks. And they came up with this genius two-part system. The inside, the core of the ziggurat, was made of simple, sun-dried bricks. But for the outer layer, the shell, they used much stronger, more durable bricks that were baked in a kiln. Then they glued it all together with bitumen, which is basically an ancient superglue, and they even built in these clever drainage holes to let any moisture out. It's a fantastic design, but it's still missing one crucial ingredient.
Because even with all those clever tricks, a giant mountain of mud bricks should, eventually, just slump and collapse under its own weight. Unless you add a secret ingredient.
And that ingredient is a concept that modern engineers call reinforced earth. The idea is actually pretty simple. Soil, or mud bricks, are great when you squeeze them. That's called compression. But they're terrible when you try to pull them apart. That's tension. So what you do is you add something that is good at handling tension, like reeds or branches. And when you mix them together, you create this brand new composite material that is way, way stronger than either part on its own.
And this is exactly how they did it. You can see it right here. Between the layers of mud brick, the Sumerian builders laid down these thick mats of woven reeds. Every few feet, another layer. These mats acted like a kind of ancient rebar, creating friction and literally holding the entire structure together, keeping those bricks from pulling apart.
And listen to how this research paper puts it. They were creating a new composite material. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate, brilliant engineering. They understood, on a really deep, practical level, that combining these simple materials would make something so much stronger and more stable.
For thousands of years, the proof was just right there, the ziggurat itself, still standing against all odds. But today, we can actually go a step further. We can test this ancient theory with modern tech and see the proof in the numbers.
So this is the real question, right? What if they hadn't used the reeds? Would the ziggurat still be here? Well, modern computer simulations can now give us a totally definitive answer.
Now, to get the results, you just need to know one simple term: safety factor. It's just a number engineers use to grade how stable something is. If the number is below 1, it's unstable. It's going to fail. If it's above 1, it's stable and safe. That's it. Simple as that. And here we go, the moment of truth. On the left, we have a computer model of the ziggurat without any of that reed reinforcement. On the right, we have a model of the real thing, with the reeds included. The difference is just staggering. And here are the numbers. Without the reeds, the safety factor is a pathetic 0.389.
That's a guaranteed structural failure. It would have collapsed, no question. But you add the reeds, and the safety factor jumps all the way up to 1.071. Stable, successful. The reeds weren't just a nice touch, they are the entire reason the ziggurat is still standing today.
And you can literally see why. These models show us the internal stress. It's called shear strain. Look at the one on the left. The colors are going crazy. Those are massive forces just tearing the unreinforced structure apart from the inside. Now look at the right. The reinforced side is calm, stable. The reeds are doing their job, soaking up that stress and holding everything together. It's just incredible.
So when you combine that ancient genius with this kind of modern analysis, you get a whole new appreciation for what these builders actually accomplished.
And that brings us right up to today, because the same kinds of advanced technology that let us peek inside the ziggurat's design are now being used to protect these amazing heritage sites for future generations.
One of the coolest tools they use is called HBIM-IM, or Historic Building Information Modeling. Basically, researchers use things like drones to create these unbelievably detailed 3D digital models of sites like the ziggurat. This digital twin lets them monitor, manage, and plan how to conserve the real thing with pinpoint accuracy. It's all about making sure this ancient wonder survives for another 4,000 years.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, for one, that ancient builders were incredibly sophisticated engineers. They had this deep, practical understanding of really complex principles. Two, with enough ingenuity, you can build something absolutely monumental and lasting from the simplest things around you. And finally, modern science doesn't just debunk old ideas, sometimes it validates them and gives us an even deeper appreciation for ancient wisdom. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The secret to the ziggurat's strength was hiding in plain sight for thousands of years, just waiting for us to develop the right tools to see it clearly. What other ancient wisdom is still out there, just waiting for us to look at it through a new lens?